Hello, hello, all my cruising and travel friends. It is Rob here with Cruising on the High Seas and
And
Travel. Here again with one of my best friends, Mr. Dewey Skis. How you doing tonight?
not too bad, not too bad. Beautiful weather down here in Florida. Spent all day in the pool, and luckily I stayed awake for the show tonight.
Yep, and it's been a little bit cold up here and a little bit warm. Each day we don't know what we're gonna be getting up here. But luckily, very soon I will be hopefully heading to where it's a little more warmer. As I'll be taking this lovely airplane onto my next journey where I'll be sailing over towards Southampton.
Cool.
Yes, before they remove the ship from the fleet, which is on the Norwegian sky.
Oh, that one's being removed.
Yes, that one is being removed at the end of the year.
Oh,
Yes, so want to make sure I get onto it before it disappeared. But that's not why we're all here tonight. We are all here to talk about this month's topic for the LGBTQ2 plus. Sometimes that is a tongue twister,
oh yes.
and it is welcome everyone to Live at Sea. A fun,
Can't beat love at sea.
yes, a fun, safe, respectful space for LGBTQ2 plus cruising, travel, and community. Everyone's welcome, but any discrimination or negativity will not be tolerated. So, with all that said, let's dive on in to the first one, and we're going to skip over the intro because I forgot to upload the intro. This is my very first live stream on Restream.
We'll
So,
forgive you.
so hopefully, you guys can all forgive me, and we will try and get it set up for the next round. But
Hello, Najuma. Welcome to the chat.
without delay, let's welcome people into the chat. And first in the chat is Mama Juma Brown. Welcome on in. And then we are going to dive into the very first one, if I can remember where it's set. Let's try here. And of course, it's going to be a new learning experience for me because I'm using a new system. So I got to kind of play around with it a bit to see, because it's not my normal system I normally use. So first one up is number one. What love at sea means in LGBTQ. Dewey, would you like to start off with that one?
Well, one thing about love at sea, it doesn't have to be limited to LGBTQ. I mean, everybody experiences love at sea because being at sea is such a romantic way to travel and to be together with people that you love. And so a lot of times it doesn't matter whether you're a member of the LGBTQ family or if you're not, you can still have a nice romantic cruise, and it's all what you make it.
Exactly. And it's not just romance, also self discriminate, profession, choice, family, and being full yourself while traveling. So, like Dewey was saying, it's not all about being part of the LGBTQ community. It could be anyone in general.
As long as you keep in mind when you're on a cruise ship, there's places that you can show your love and places you shouldn't show your love. So,
And and remember, the walls are thinner than the walls at home.
oh yes,
So
yep.
be mindful and respectful to
And
your potential neighbor's
just
neighborhood.
because you're out on your balcony doesn't mean there isn't somebody that can see what's going on. Sometimes people can see from above you or from beside you, and sometimes the cameras, even though they're not technically watching the balconies, they are watching the side of the ship for overboard type things, and that doesn't that
Any
could include
offers.
your balcony.
Exactly, and especially you don't want to be showing that type of love potentially when you are in port, pulling out, or even coming in, because there might be another ship already in
Yeah.
that we might see what's going on.
One thing to remember when you're out on the balcony, if you can look at the walls either side of you and you can see light coming through them from the balcony next to you, that means they can see the light coming from you as well.
Exactly.
So if you don't mind people watching, I guess that's fine. But otherwise, you may want to be careful.
Otherwise, yeah, you just want to be just a little bit careful there.
Same way of public spaces like in the pools or hot tubs or the spa or on the any of the loungers and stuff like that too. You want to be careful who might be around because even though it may be late at night and you think you're the only ones there, there's always somebody watching or coming by, especially when it comes to the crew because a lot of them do their work in the middle of the night.
And that is like the best time, the best time for them to do their work.
Yep.
So they have everything all set up and ready to go for you, whether it be a sea day or a port day, and you might be one of the rare. I'm not gonna say few because there are a good amount of people that do stay on board, but one of the rare people that do choose not to go into port that day. So you have stuff to do on board the ship versus exploring the port, which you, if that's the option you choose, I encourage to do both. Explore the port and explore the ship a bit that day, because then you get a mixture of both.
Yep. Yep. And then if you've been to the port multiple times and you don't need to, then you can just relax and enjoy, or you can go ashore briefly just to especially if you're a shopaholic and you want to hit the shops and see the things they might have. But if you don't want to stay there long, then you can always come aboard and enjoy the features of the ship before they get crowded again.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if yourself Dewey has seen my latest video from Belize
I did.
from Booze Cruise 3.0. But
Yep.
that was what me and Justin did. We explored the port a little bit, and then we came back on board and had some fun.
Sometimes that can be the best way to enjoy some of the pool features or hot tub features because they're less crowded. So
Exactly, and we had some fun, and we got to enjoy the more of the ship to ourselves versus having the ship jam packed.
yep.
Like when we were in Honduras, where unfortunately we were not able to get to ashore that day because of weather conditions and just couldn't get in that day because we had a tender.
Yeah, sometimes those can be the hardest days to enjoy the ship because so many people are up early expecting to go ashore and do excursions. And then when it gets canceled, they're like, well, now what do we do? So then everybody heads to the pool.
Yep, everyone hands there, and then you start hearing the odd occasion people whine and complain, saying, "Oh well, we should get our port fees back, and this should happen," and yada yada yada. But
Yeah. Read your fine print, people.
read the fine print. They don't technically have to give it back to you.
Yeah. If you get it, you're lucky. So
Yeah, like when me and Justin were on the oh, what's that carnival ship? It's a G name. Glory?
yeah.
Yeah, Glory. For the first booze cruise, we ended up missing Grand Caymans, and we were lucky enough to get our port fees back. We didn't have to fight for it; they just gave it back,
That's nice.
which was nice. But unfortunately, with 3.0, nothing came out of it. So, but we were told, oh well, we should go down and complain to guest services about it. It's like, well, no, I'm not going down to guest services to complain about it because what am I seriously going to get back? 5, $10?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it's an extra $5, $10 in my pocket, but and I know this
Well,
is a little bit off the topic of love at sea, but it
no.
still is relation into
Well,
cruising.
and I often look at it this way. Okay, so you didn't go to the port, but the crew had to work extra hard that day to entertain you while you were on the ship because you didn't go to port. So the port fees kind of they still entertain you just in a different way. So
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. And I'm going to put that statement on the side burner because I'm going to come back to it because I want to make a point on that one. But with the statement of going down and complaining, to what I was told, and I do believe it, every time you go down to guest services and complain about something, that goes onto your record.
ooh,
Apparently, that
that
goes
can
on,
be good or bad.
and that's just not the record for that cruise. It's permit record, so they know if you are a complainer or if you are not a complainer. And
You don't want to be known as a habitual complainer because that's going to leave everybody giving you uh, poor service probably.
more likely, and the more you complain, the and we're going to use the word disrespectful because we don't like being disrespectful anywhere on this show, on the ships, anywhere at all. They are less prone to wanting to help and assist you.
Yeah.
Now, referring back to yours, but working extra hard on the ship for the crew members, all that, the statement I made towards my buddy Justin was okay, so we missed that port. I know you want to go there. Not a big deal. Because it gives us an excuse to go back there again.
There you go.
And since we're talking about that, I'm going to just make a quick statement on this one. On April 3rd to the 10th of 2027, so next year, out of New Orleans on Mariner of the Seas, Justin is having his 40th birthday cruise. And all of you are invited to come along for the ride. So, if you're interested, you can reach out to any TA, including myself, and we will be more than glad to get yourself booked. And the reason why this has to do with, in relations to the Grand Caymans, is because that actually happens to be one of the port stops that we're
There you
stopping
go.
at.
Yep.
So,
Sometimes those missed ports can be a kind of a little blessing because then it helps you plan future cruises instead of just saying, "Well, I've been everywhere. I don't know where I want to go."
yep. So it basically says, no worries, we will find another cruise that stops there and we'll go. And it just happened to line up for this one. So fingers crossed that we will be able to get on ashore this time around. If not, let's try it again.
There you go. Just
Keep
keep on keeping on.
keep on going because I have this cruise bug.
Guilty.
Guilty as charged. So, but no, like that's what we ended up doing for that one. But referring back into today's show, Love at Sea, we are going to dive into number number 2. Trips for finding love or just good vibes.
Well, that can be interesting. There's a number of ways. Sometimes going to the meetups, whether they be like the LGBTQ meetups or solo meetups or any kind of meetup that you're interested in, or any place you can go where you can meet people. You never know when a something will click with somebody. Or you can, if you get to know people like on the Facebook pages before the cruise, sometimes you may get to know somebody you don't know just on Facebook, so that you arrange to meet up on the ship, and then maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. So there are ways to do that, and some of the apps, depending if you have access to Wi-Fi or something, some of those may work on the ships. They're kind of hit and miss because they're location based. So if you're in a port, a lot of the apps will still work, but it's going to find you people that are there in that port, not necessarily on the ship. What I do when I use the apps, I will put in my screen name what ship I'm on, so that anybody else looking in that app, if they see that I'm on, say, the Mariner of the Seas, then they know that, okay, I don't have to worry about this guy is in the Bahamas or Cozumel or whatever. He's actually on this ship, and if I'm interested, I can, message him and see what's going on. So that helps a lot, because none of the apps are really made to work when you're out at sea without any way to tell where you're at. Now, there is one app that is made just for the ships, but unfortunately, it's never caught on very well. And as many times as I've ever looked at the app, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's never, there's never been anything on it that was useful or even anybody using it. So somebody needs to kind of create an app that would be good on a ship with the ship Wi-Fi that isn't necessarily location based.
Hmm.
But you go to meet people, in meetups or different events on the ship, and you share information. You're like, if you have the chat on the ship or something, then that can work out well.
Yep.
And
And
sometimes you just go to the right place, and there's an atmosphere going on that, you never know, it could kind of click with you.
yep. And of course, as Julie mentioned last month in about the meetups, it is important to go to the meetups, of course, if you're interested, on the very first night or first time it's being offered. Because if you say, you know what, I'm going to go to, say, the solo travelers meetup, for example, and I'm not going to go on the first night, but I'll go on like the second or third night. Well, if only one, maybe two people show up the first night, it may show that there's not a lot of interest in it, and now you may see no one shows up
Yeah,
the second or third night for it because
yeah,
there was really no interest in it. And of course, this is, of course, self-led.
yeah. That's what I was just going to throw in. 99% of them are self-led. So if you don't go in and show support for it, it's probably not going to happen successfully. So
No, and of course, there's many meetups. There's the solo travelers meetup. There's the LGBTQ2 meetup. There's a team meetup. There's multiple meetups that I can go on and on and on, and we'll be here all night long
oh yeah.
if I mention every single meetup there is. And those are the ones that are conducted, put together by the cruise line that are may or may not be led by the cruise line.
That's one thing I don't like. Most of the cruise ships do not have a most of the LGBT meetups are self-led, whereas a lot of the other meetups of any kind are usually conducted by the ship. They have activities or something like that. It would be so much nicer if, I think I was only on one or two ships where they actually had staff there to help conduct the meeting, make sure everybody understood what was going on and stuff like that. And it made such a difference, because if you go into some place and you don't know what's going on, you can't tell who's there for what. it can feel like nothing's happening when it could be a whole room full of people that could be interested, but nobody knows what's happening. So
Exactly.
the one ship I remember where it was conducted, there were six of us in there, but none of us were sitting anywhere in the same area. We were all sitting. If you tried to put six dots in that whole lounge, we were probably as far apart from each other as you could be. Well, once somebody came in and identified themselves and said that's what they're here for, everybody congregated in one spot, and it's like we probably would have never have done that if it was on our own.
Yep, exactly. And with this upcoming sailing, I will have to navigate myself away around, as this will be the very first solo cruise that I'm doing. Unplanned. That's the key word. Unplanned. But
That's right. They get easier and easier every time.
but it was a decision I had to make, and I said, well, I'm going for it. But yeah, no, it's important to go to those meetups the first day when they're being offered if you have interest in them. So at least there's spark of interest in it.
Yes.
And who knows, at those meetups, you might find some love or good vibes while at sea.
Yeah, there's been a few where I've met somebody in the meetups, and it's led to nothing long term, but at least short term while we were on the cruise. So that was nice.
Yeah, which leads us into this next one: meeting people on board. So it's an interesting segment too, working towards talking about meetups. You get to meet people on board. It's organized connections where it's friendship finding and long term relationships that start on the ship.
And when you think about it, your entire time on the ship is a meetup of some sort, whether you're in an official meetup or you're in a lounge listening to music or in the theater listening to a show or you're at dinner or you're at the buffet. You're probably going to be sitting near people that you're talking to. That's a meetup. And so if you're shy and you don't like to talk to strangers, that's going to be difficult, but that's never been a problem for me. So usually I can strike up a conversation anywhere, and it's easy for anybody to do because you already have two things in common. You like cruising and you like to travel. So you start with that, you can go almost anywhere.
Correct. And I can recall. Oh, I'm trying to recall the ship. It was a Norwegian ship, and it nails it where it was just me and my mom. So that would make it be on. I want to say it was the Bliss out of Seattle. But where I'm going with this story is one night, me and my mom, and we're going into story time. I'm having this. I'm sure you guys all know Cheryl from Cruising is Fun Anytime. She likes to have these squirrel moments. Well, this is my squirrel moment. We were having dinner, me and my mom, and next to us was this not old lady, but she was a little up in age, and she was traveling solo. And if I recall correctly, she was from New York, but destination doesn't really matter. The server in the dining room, MDR, was a little pesty. We're going to use the word. Asking multiple questions. Are you traveling alone? Yeah, and just the questions just kept coming and coming. And the vibe that I was receiving was basically she was felt a little unpleasant of being bothered of these multiple questions. So me and my mom kind of helped him team to, shoot, go back and assist. Like, hey, I need another drink. Can you go get me another drink? Like, just to shoo the person away. and but she didn't mind us asking questions as fellow guests. And then with my mom doing her first solo cruise last fall, she actually had questions regarding solo cruising, where that lady said that she cruises solo quite a bit. So there was a bound of connection, and I guess this is a no, I guess really it's not much of a scroll one because it's a connection of number three, meeting new people. So we got to meet another person that was traveling solo, and kind of understand what solo travel is all about and what it's like. And then, of course, at that time, I mentioned one day I do plan on trying it one day, but I just don't know when. And just happened to be, it's happening a little sooner than I planned. So, meeting and talking to people on board, or even when you're in port, is a great thing because you are meeting new people, and potentially, if they're on the same ship as you, they may even be looking out for you to run into and check up with you because they know that you're traveling solo, make sure that everything's a-okay.
Yes.
And maybe if you need assistance, they can maybe help you and assist and get something done. So that's my little squirrel moment for the day.
And I've got squirrel moments too, but I will withhold them at this time.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So let's go into number 4. And that one is talking all about LGBTQ2 plus meetups and events on cruises.
And we've already covered a lot of that already in the previous one. So.
We really covered a lot of that without realizing that we technically covered it. It's quite.
And the events wise, it depends the nature of the cruise. Sometimes there may not be LGBTQ events, but once you meet people in a meetup, you can make an event happen out of anything you choose to do with other people together. So,
Because the cruise line does not mind you making up your own events.
no.
Because
Sometimes they'll even help.
sometimes there are times that they will even help. Because I recall referring back to Booze Cruise 1.0, we actually got a bartender lead us through 5 bars.
Oh, wow.
And he did that out of kindness and generosity versus getting a new bartender every single bar.
Yeah.
He just went to every single bar with us and made the drinks for us. And of course, the ones working at those bars. Oh, somebody's getting a phone call.
Yep.
Yeah, it's okay.
Keep talking. I'll send them a message.
Yeah, and those individuals at the locations did not mind whatsoever that he came into their location and just did the work. Because, and then of course, I would imagine that he would split the tips between everyone working at every location. So there is plenty of love going around. So they all get a piece of it. Meanwhile, he probably did most, if not all, of the work. So
I was on the non-group cruise one time.
oh, that was that the what was that one?
It wasn't
The rum one.
no, this was a different one. This was actually called the non-group cruise. It was a group cruise because we all know each other, but it was loosely organized. It wasn't like it was rigidly planned or anything. But Betsy and Mike, you probably know them.
Yeah.
Betsy was organizing a pub crawl. Same kind of thing happened. One of the staff from the ship helped her do that. They picked out which bars would be the best ones to hit. They planned ahead of time what everybody would have the same drink or shot at each of the bars.
Hmm.
So he had arranged with all of the bars that were going to be on our pub crawl to make them in time so they weren't suddenly just hit with 20 people and suddenly had to quickly make all these drinks. They were prepared every place we went. It was a really nice organized event.
And I would imagine when they left one location, they probably called down to the next location. Hey, they're on the way. Start,
Probably.
start making it.
Yeah, but they were, everything was well planned. We didn't have to, feel like we stressed them out because luckily it was in the middle of the afternoon and most of the places we hit were not busy. So I don't know if they planned it that way so that we purposely didn't hit ones that would be crowded and busy, but it worked out very well, very efficiently. We showed up, there'd be a tray full of drinks. Everybody grabbed their drink. You gave them their cards so they could bill your cards. And while we were, doing toasts and drinking and stuff, they processed all of that. And then by the time they were done, it was time to move on to the next place.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So that's about talking about the meetups and events on cruises. And then we move over towards love across borders. And that's cruise romance with people from different countries, excluding but sometimes completely after the trip ends.
Yep. Depending on who you meet and where they're from, I mean, there's a good chance when you meet somebody on a ship, they're from a different country or, depending on which cruise you're on, some of them are more likely than others to have different people. So if you find somebody you like and you want to strike up any kind of relationship with, you got to be prepared for what that means, whether it's long distance communications or somebody has to travel to go see each other or whatever. But there's always that potential.
Exactly. There's that potential, and then there could be the communication of basically, hey, I'm going on this ship here. Would you like to join me?
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna come over to this country where you're from. Do you want to spend a day or two together? There's always that type of love across borders of meeting up. And it doesn't have to be love. It just could be the connection of you enjoy being around them and
Oh yeah,
just
friendships can work the same way. It's like once you get to know somebody and you stay in touch with them, if they're going to be in your port or you're going to be in their port, you do your best to try to meet up. I've done that with people before that I've met, and especially living here near ports. Sometimes when they come to town, they know they're going to have some time, and then I'll go meet them at the port. We'll go do some stuff together or something while they're free, and because usually they got most of the day. A lot of them have most of the day free, and
mhm.
so you got time you can spend together while they're here.
Yeah, like when I was on 3.0, I did every effort to reach out to every person I knew in that area to if they were interested in meeting up and gave them my details of when I'm going to be down there.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, none of it did work out because just the timings were not in line, which was okay. But to me, not a big deal because I am also known to go down that way quite frequently. We will say at least every 2 to 3 years, I'm at least in somewhere in the Florida area. So it does happen quite frequently. And once again, we are back at the promotion of Justin's 40th birthday cruise. Like I mentioned, it is April 3rd to the 10th of 2027 on Mare of the Seas out of New Orleans. If you're interested, please reach out to any travel agent or myself, and we will get yourself booked and enjoy the amazing trip along with us as we celebrate Justin's 40th birthday.
It's on my wish list.
Yep. And referring towards that was I've been doing some mock bookings. And what's interesting is if I fly with the airline that I want to be flying with, I have to actually fly home 1 day later than when I really want to be flying home. So I
That's
can't
not surprising.
so I can't fly home the day of when the cruise ends. I have to stay one more day if I really want to fly home with that airline.
Some
So
places that's a common occurrence if you want to get the good rates and availability and stuff like that, especially when you're coming like from the West Coast. I know almost every time that I've had to fly back from the West Coast for anything, whether it be Alaska cruise or any other cruise,
mhm,
most cross country trips want to take off late at night. So if you're getting off the ship in the morning, you got to kill a whole day unless you go stay at a hotel and get on a flight, in the morning or something, because the early morning ones take off too early to get on from the ship. So
well, unfortunately, there is no, and I said this to him before. I find it very hard to believe because it doesn't make sense to me. There is absolutely no flights at all that day coming back home.
yeah,
I
uh,
find that very hard to believe.
a friend of mine here in town, she's originally from Mexico, and she goes back periodically to visit her family. And there's only flights 2 days a week, so she has to plan when she goes because she can only, I think it's like Thursdays and Mondays. So it's like if you go on Monday, you either got to stay 3 days or 10 days because you're not going to get home any other time but that Thursday or the next Monday.
Correct. Now, of course, this is all doing it directly through the airline. So once I get home, then I'll see what, and this actually happens to be for Justin's 40th birthday cruise. So when I get home, I'll see what is the cruise line offering versus what I can see and go from there. But the other factor is that I'm also have to look at is what is the cost to do a hotel night, an extra hotel night versus finding another airline like
Yeah,
United or um, Delta or many other airlines that can do it for me. What's the cost difference in those? And of course, I'm also have to be playing with the exchange rate too.
oh yeah,
So kind of factor out, okay, what's the cost difference, and make sure that Justin's okay with taking the in bracket the extra day off because that would cause an extra day off if we end up staying an extra day.
yeah.
But there are so many potentials that you need to look at, and that is
Especially these days with the way flights are anymore.
exactly. And of course, that's where, of course, a travel agent comes in handy. They can they can lay out all the options for you and help you decide what is the most best and efficient way for you to get moved around. But at the end of the day, it is your call on what you want to do.
Yeah,
Same thing as being open versus staying private is your option.
yeah,
And it's totally your choice if you want to be open with people or keep things private. And that is, some travelers feel free to be out at sea, others still navigate when and where they expose affections.
And some people go with the attitude that, once you get off the ship, you're probably never going to see these people again. So what the hell? Let's do whatever.
Yep. So you may not have a positive connection, and like Dewey says, you may never see them ever again. So the chances of running into them again is almost a needle in the haystack, as would place it.
Unless you have a good connection where you plan to make those connections later. I've
Hmm.
had people that I've met on a cruise that we clicked well enough. And then since then we have sailed on one, two, or more cruises together ever since. So
Yep, and I will wait and see what does this upcoming adventure bring me. How many connections, if any, does it bring me? And we will find out. And of course, there will definitely be footage and vlogs. Unfortunately, no live streams because I'm choosing not to do upgrade my internet package because just it's too much to upgrade it to the streaming package. But there would, like I said, there would definitely be vlogs like the 3.0 like I did for this upcoming trip, and I'll tell you all about my first impressions of traveling solo on a cruise ship, which we are now going to be diving in talking about real talk cruise culture and mixed course. Do we?
well, there again, depending on the kind of people you mix with and the kind of people you wish to meet, you've got to keep that in mind because especially if you're going to be with mixing with people of different cultures. A lot of people have different ways of looking at things. So, what might seem perfectly normal here in the US, if you're meeting somebody from Spain or France or Greece or Latin America or something like that, maybe the actions you take or the words you say may not be as appropriate. So, you have to keep that in mind because your crowds are always going to be mixed of some sort.
Correct, correct. And I forgot to turn that on. Let's get the ticker on, and I do see that we do have some new people into the chat. Let's welcome in Chris M and Kevin from Tuber Chat.
Welcome, guys.
Welcome on in, and of course, like Dewey was also mentioning, let me get my marker back up here where I was, so I don't lose my spot. And then I will make my statement that I was about to make. There we go. All right. And like you was talking about that you may mention I mean you may meet new people from different parts of the world, whether it be Spain, Australia, wherever it may be. Their cultures are tend to be different than where you are from.
And you have
Where
to respect those differences.
and you have to respect those differences. So, referring to because this is a LGBTQ2 live stream that we do once a month, in some cultures and locations of the world, unfortunately, it is not as recognized. I'm going to use the word than other places like in Europe or North America. So, unfortunately, that is a thing out there, and hopefully we can spread the word, spread the love, and expand it out to other destinations. Dude, would you like to expand on that one?
Yeah, you have to be flexible
Pardon me?
and to keep in mind that, like you said, not all cultures are as accepting as ours, and maybe other cultures are maybe they're more accepting than ours. But you have to be flexible and be willing to bend and sway with whatever people you're dealing with, so that it helps keep that connection or relationship going smoothly while you're on the ship, because you don't want to get people alienated just because you were too set in your ways.
You, in other words, you need to be more like open-minded
Hmm.
and willing to try things
Yes.
and see different walks of life because it's not all like my grandmother said, peaches and cream. You need to at least take a step in that direction. See, is that something that you like? Is it not something that not you like? And if not, that's fine. You tried, but respect that person's way of life or beliefs or whatever it may happen to be.
Yep.
And I do see that we have another message in the chat. Kevin said hello, came on in. I'm just scanning the chat, making sure I'm not missing nothing extremely important. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Of course, Nightbot is diving on in. Here he is promoting that of my spread shop. If you like to get some swag from my spread shop, there is the link. And if it can't find it, just let me know and email me at cruising on the height seas and travel, and I will get you the link so you are able to get yourself some merch, which you will see some merch of me wearing on my upcoming vlogs when I do my European cruise. So yes, I even get my own merch. And we are also on the road to 2000, and we are in around about the 62, and that 1,632 mark to go. I mean, I have. So let's try and reach me to that number by the May 31st is my goal. Nightbot, Nightbot. And that's everything. So let's do. And we are at number 8. Where it's talking about trans experience at sea. And this is talking more things along the line, things like using facilities, being respectful by staff, and navigating identity and sharing spaces. So basically, in other words, basically navigating and respecting each other upon how they want to identify themselves.
Right. And that holds everywhere you go, not just on a cruise ship, but on a cruise ship, things tend to be a little more acceptable than they do in other public places, but you still have to be respectful and act accordingly and stuff, so that you don't alienate somebody or cause unnecessary hard feelings or anything like that, because they don't deserve it and you don't deserve it.
Yeah. And I'm going to use the word back in the day. And of course, there's a difference between back in the day with me saying it and say back in the day when your grandparents said, way back in the day. There's obviously a difference, but I'm sure you know what I mean by back in the day.
Yeah, back in my day and back in your day is two different times.
Exactly. But what I'm referring towards is now, unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of this because at that time, I honestly I didn't even consider this even being an option of having a live stream like this, but you just gotta take my word. I did see it, and I actually liked it a lot. And I actually wish that it would be posted in every facility that there is. And what I'm referring to is when I was in high school, and of course, no, we're in another scroll moment, but there's a story behind it in the connection of to this topic. When I was in college, in pretty much every single washroom, there was a sign that said along the lines of you are allowed to use this washroom if you like identify as this. So even though you think that person shouldn't be there, they know where they are. And who are you to judge
Yep.
if I'm wearing this all correctly? Now, of course, sometimes I will admit I don't wear things particularly correct. So kind of, scramble the stuff around a little bit and you kind of get the gifs of what I'm saying here.
And it works both ways too.
And,
If somebody is using the restroom that you don't think it's appropriate for them to do and it makes you uncomfortable, just think how uncomfortable they are being there because they have chosen to identify in a certain way and this is where they have to be. So,
because even though you think that this person is, say, using the wrong facilities, are they really using the wrong one? Or are they using the correct one? And chances are they are using the correct one. It's just that's how they identify.
yep.
And the way how I like to word it is if it makes you feel uncomfortable because you see someone else in the facility that you don't think lines up with the way they look or whatever it may be, the best solution I come up with is just move to another one or just mind your own business, mouth quiet, and
That's a good way of looking at it.
leave it be because, like Dewey mentioned, is it can make you and the other person feel uncomfortable. So, and you technically you both are there for the exact same reason, whether it be changing, whether it be using the facilities or whatever it happens to be why you are there. Now, of course, there are security matters and all that. If you lead to belief, of course, you still got the rights to report it and they investigate. But at the end of the day, you have done your part, and best thing is just to keep quiet and move on. If nothing is going on, kind of funky, we're gonna call it,
Yes.
and that's the best way to way to look at it.
I remember when I was young, one of the first drag shows I went to in the town I lived in, they were good. I mean, they weren't the clown drag, like I call so many drag shows now where they have such excessive makeup and all this stuff that they don't really, you can tell they're not really real women because they overdo everything and stuff. These were drag shows that, I mean, they look like real women. I mean, you couldn't tell the difference. And I was in the restroom after the show, and one of those women was at the urinal next to me. And it felt so odd because, for all practical purpose, she looked like a hell of a good looking gal. Yet she was still peeing the same way I was.
Yeah. Now, of course, it was. I'm gonna call this was more on the economy side of it, but back in the earlier days before, I'm gonna say McNasty, which I'm pretty sure you guys all know what I mean by the word McNasty. the thing that kind of shut the world down a bit for a little while because of the issues with travel and all that stuff. So it was, in other words, the shutdown of cruising. We're going to call it, if you need a little more assistance, what I'm trying to refer towards. Um, we used to go to a show once a year, and it was always around the Christmas time. And there was this gentleman, and of course, it doesn't bother me. It was actually, to me, it was hilarious because just the way how he put the vibe and the energy into it. You could tell it was a guy, but he was dressed up as a woman all the time. And yes, he was in the show. So, but he entertained the crowd out of it. But we all had a good time, and even he was laughing too, all at it. So, and of course, like you mentioned, Dewey, the drag queens, you could tell that it was overdone a little bit in some places, but at the end of the day, everybody, including themselves, got a good laugh and had a good time.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, referring to trans experience at sea, that is what this is all about. Having a good and amazing time, whether you're at sea, whether you're on land, or whatever you may be doing, you're having a great and amazing time. So, all right, number 9. Short-term relations versus real connections. We already covered that pretty heavily so far tonight,
Yeah.
and that's Crew's findings. um, Crew's findings versus meaningful relationships. Both valid, just different experiences. So, like I said, without even acknowledging that we are covering already the next uh, points that we're bringing up, it just seems to always keep coming up in the conversations without us even realizing that we are
Yes, really.
kind of covering it. So it kind of seems like we are doing repetitive things, but it just happens to be, it just magically appears in the conversation without even realizing it's coming and it's there. So, would you like to say anything else more on this one, Dewey?
Not really. I would say pretty much we've covered this one repeatedly. So,
Yep. And then we are at number 10, where it's talking about why cruises can't. I mean, let's try this one again with that little tongue twister I had. Why cruises can feel safer or not. And it's saying, talk about let me move over so I can see that a little bit better. Talking about balance, some ships and itineraries feel very inclusive, while others depend on location, culture, and cruise line policies.
yeah. And it's the same kind of thing where we mentioned earlier where a lot of people feel like when you're on a cruise ship, you'll never see these people again, most likely. So how you treat them means is totally different than somebody you might run across the street every day. So you have to keep that in mind when you're on a ship. Sometimes you can be bolder, be more adventuresome, and it all depends on your own nature too. If you're too shy to be that way, then it won't matter because you can't. Uh, that's just not you to do. But if you want to be, you got the chance.
Yeah, and of course, majority of the cruise lines, they all stand to the exact same policies. Some are better than others. So, referring to one point that we talked about is depending on how you want to identify, if that's how you want to identify, that's the way it is, and they will do the absolute best to let you identify in that aspect, as long as there's no security risk or anything going funky wrong, then
Right.
basically you are okay. And comfort is always a thing around everyone. And of course, if you don't feel comfortable, just remove yourself from that situation. That's just pretty much the simple and easiest way that it is best to look at it as. And like I said, other lines that they are more prone and more friendly to particular policies. So, all right, and then last but not least, we are going to talk about the next topic for next month, and where it is after the topic of love at sea. What what should we talk about next? And would you go on a cruise after hearing these love stories? And of course, our next one coming to you on this type of live stream for the LGBTQ2 plus will be happening on May 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern or 7 o'clock Central. And I believe that one is about Drake.
Yes.
I believe we set that out on Drake. And of course, if you guys would like to see other topics being brought up, just let myself or Dewey know, and we can get it into the works. And of course, we'll let you know when that stream will occur, and we will be more than glad to cover that topic for you. As we want, as the whole entire sole purpose of this type of live stream is to bring more awareness to the cruising and travel community for the LGBTQ2 plus community. So there are more awareness in the community about it. Dewey?
Nothing to add. It's
Just checking. And of course, I think we already covered that one there, talking about the next live stream on May 23rd. And of course, just a couple cleaning up ones. Of course, if you wish to send me something, you will find the mailing address in the About section of my YouTube channel, and I will open up here live on air on a unboxing live stream. And of course, the next mystery box food review, as I do mystery boxes from around the world, will be happening on March 29th, which happens to be, I think, tomorrow.
April 29th.
I mean, I think I need to correct that one. It should be April 29th, not March. A little miss typo there. So let's try and get that fixed there as we speak. I never even caught that one before we went live here. April 29th, which should be about around midweek. I'll probably end
Be on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Actually, no, we won't go on Wednesday. We'll probably go Thursday.
Okay, on the 30th.
So we're gonna go with it on the 30th. All right, because that will be a nice little treat to have at the end of the week for myself. So there we go. So it's gonna happen on the 30th of April, and that is everything that I have for this month's live stream on the LGBTQ2 plus. So with all that said, we are going to start with our closing remarks, and I will let Dewey take it away.
Well, I'm after our second show now. I'm feeling good about the direction we're going, and hopefully the people that are watching are enjoying it as well. The crowds have been very small. I'd like to see more people. So those of you who are here, be sure to spread the word and help share. So the more people we can get watching and joining in the conversation, the more we can gear this show to be what you want it to be and things that you want to know about.
Yep, and of course, periodically throughout time, I will be bringing up special guests onto the show, and the option is always available to Dewey for him to bring up special guests along the way. And it, like I said, I'm quite happy with the way it's moving with our second show. I feel it's going to be a positive, strong 5, and I look forward to what is else coming out down the road, and seeing where the rest of this adventures will take us. So with all that said, we are just past top of the hour, and I know there are other people coming on here live, so we're not going to take up all your time here tonight. So thank you for tuning on in. But before we get on out here, we're just going to clean up the chat. Make sure no one else has popped on in. And oh, we do have one other person has popped in. Mickey's Adventure, welcome on in. Thank you for coming on in as we are about to end. Please, if you haven't yet already joined us live, we encourage you to be part of Team Replay and leave us 5 hearts in the chat of your choosing of the color. And they're saying good evening, happy Sunday, Saturday, not Sunday. And of course, they are encouraging you to, and I love, they always come into the Go Live together. And with this statement, match the number of likes of participants in the chat to show your support. I love that. Thank you for coming on in and saying that. I really do appreciate that a lot, because we want to show the love and support across the board. And of course, Nightbot chit-chatting around, and Juma Brown is saying, have a good night, everyone. So with all that said, thank you for all tuning on in, and we will see you all on the ICs or wherever Charles may take us, and of course, in the next live stream happening on May 23rd for the LGBTQ2+. So until then, bye for now.
Good night, all.